Yup. Basketball fans, welcome back into the Putback, the flagship basketball show of Stadium Rant. Good to be back here with you. Nolan and Jack back with you. Dovensky will be in here momentarily once we get the technical difficulties figured out here. But until then, me and Jack are going to run it up for you. If you haven't yet, go check out StadiumRant.com. We got a ton of original shows and team-centric podcasts going on over on StadiumRant.com. There's Dovensky. We got the there we go. We can hear him now. But go check out all of our shows at StadiumRant.com. Daily written content from both of these gentlemen right here at some point that you can go read and check out. And, of course, as always, go check out our previous show where we talked to none other than NBA player Ochai Agbaji. I know Dovensky was geeking out a little bit. Dovensky got to go meet him down in Miami, man. Got to go get a snag a picture with him. So, how was that, by the way?
That was surreal. That was like the first time. This is not the first time I've seen an NBA player. I remember when I was in like 8th grade. Jason Williams, like center for the New Jersey Nets. That Jason Williams, he was talking to us about like gun control and stuff. But like this is the first time like I got to be like face to face and took like an actual picture with an NBA player.
There you go. Very cool. So glad you got to do that and get connected with Ochai. But yeah, very cool. So go check out that episode. But this week's episode is a fun one. You guys did your Eastern Conference standings prediction. Now it's time to flip the table and go to the Western Conference standings, the Wild Wild West, as they call it. I don't know about you, but gentlemen, when I go back and look at the standings from last year, they're gross. The West is a crapshoot pretty much all the way through, all the way down to like the 10th and the 11th seed. So this is going to be an interesting one just to kind of see where we're going to put these guys. Obviously, a lot of movement, some different acquisitions that have happened for these teams. So let's get right into it. Actually, real quick, big piece of news. I know that you guys are wanting to kind of talk about this. City Edition jerseys came out. I think we should do an episode where we rank them.
Oh, yes, for sure. They look terrible.
I know, yeah, Dovensky, you were not happy with them, but we should do a whole episode about that. And then the other piece of big news, Joel Embiid signing his big-time deal for the 76ers year Supermax. He will be a 76er for at least the next 3 years. Big-time deal there. Initial thoughts from you two gentlemen on that deal? I know Philly fans might not like it. Some might.
I mean, I think it's 3 years, $193 million. He's said to me.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, over
I think that's the third largest contract in the league right now.
Insane amount of money. But I mean, it's not warranted. You know, he's an MVP candidate every year that he's healthy. So, I mean, if you're a Philly fan and you're not happy with that, you need to, I don't know, like watch a different sport or something. I don't know.
I mean, in all honesty, I don't blame them if they're not happy with it because at the end of the day, yeah, he's an MVP when healthy. But the thing is, when healthy. And there's so many players in the league now where you could just put that when healthy asterisk on their name because like nobody's healthy. And we know how his playoff performance is. So yeah, he's great in the regular season, but when it comes playoff time, he's never there. So 3 years, $93 million, $193 million, even though he's deserving of it. He definitely is, but like I don't blame Philly fans if some of them are a bit upset about like the extension.
No, yeah. The lack of the playoff success definitely is the biggest asterisk there. I mean, outside of that, yeah, health has been an issue for him, but yeah, for sure. It's a double-edged sword because you're happy he's with you guys and not somewhere else for that same amount of money. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, we have no championships and you're getting all this money. Now you got to deliver. But anyway, yeah, that's just a couple bits of news. Let's get into our Western Conference rankings here. I know you mentioned, Jack, that you guys started at the bottom of the rankings and then worked your way up, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start at 16 with that It's not 16. 15.
15.
Sorry. 15.
The expansion didn't happen yet.
Yeah, no expansion yet. No team in Seattle again yet. At 15, Jack, you go ahead and start us out, and then we'll kind of go round table, and we'll go from there.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, like you were saying, the West is a mess. Last year it was. It's going to be one this year again. There's only a couple teams that are realistically not in playoff contention. So 15, I have Portland Trailblazers. Again, very young team. So I could definitely see a world where they're near the bottom of the standings at the trade deadline and they bottom out like they did last season. Expecting a big jump from Scoot Henderson. It's going to be really cool to see him play with Donovan Clingan. Hopefully they can be a nice 1-2 punch. They've still got a lot of centers on that roster. So that's something they're going to have to figure out come trade deadline. Hopefully they can get some draft capital for that. But as far as just the quality on their team compared to every other team, it's just not quite there. So another couple of years away still, I think, with their current core. But I do like their team. They picked up Denny of the year as well. So they'll be solid. They'll give some contending teams a good run during the regular season. But overall, they're going to come up short in a lot of close games, and that's going to result in a lot of losses.
Yeah, for sure. Dovensky, how about you? Are you around the same boat, or where are you at with 15?
Blazers are number 15 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because for so long it was like, all right, the Damian Lillard project. What can we surround Damian Lillard with? And it just never worked. Yeah, they had a couple playoff runs. Of course, you had the iconic buzzer beaters he had over James Harden's Rockets, and then the Thunder in the playoffs over Paul George and all that. But yeah, I have Blazers at 15 as well. Just kind of a work in progress or project that they are kind of building for. I could only imagine what this team would look like if they have the draft capital of Oklahoma City and had this young core. They'd probably be sitting pretty good here in about 5 years. But yeah, Blazers at 15 for me as well. Let's move to 14 now here, gentlemen. Jack, go ahead. Who you got at 14?
Gets tough, honestly, from here. Like there's a lot young teams that can move up the rankings. So I've put like another middle of the pack sort of team for the last couple of seasons. Utah. Again, they've still got a really good star quality player in Lowry, who just he can't be traded now until next season. So he's going to be there at least one more year. I would expect he gets traded after that if this is another disappointing season, which I would expect it is. Again, they've got good players on the team. They're not built to compete especially against these other teams in the West. They've got a bunch of talented players: Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, even Walker Kessler's a good defensive big, but just not enough team cohesion to compete. Same as Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. Dovensky, how about you? Who you got at 14?
Now, would you believe me if I also had the Jazz at 14?
I would definitely believe you.
Yeah, I'd believe it.
Wow.
We're not doing this again, though.
Yeah, the Jazz, honestly, besides marketing, although like he is an all-star caliber player, I don't think he's enough to carry the Jazz. And they've been in the middle of the pack for like the last, maybe since like the Donovan Mitchell trade. So I don't think they're really gonna do much. They do have Sexton, they do have Clarkson, great off the bench player, spark plug. So even though they're not gonna do much, 14th, I mean like I say they're in a rebuild, so 14th wouldn't be that bad for them. But honestly, like when I was doing my rankings, it was pretty tough because after like 14, everybody else is like capable of making the play-in. This is when it got really tough for me.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I think that will kind of speak to the strength of the West again. Is that you basically out of 15 teams, 12 to 13 of them are good enough for at least a play-in tournament, if not further. So yeah, we'll see. But at 14, I also had the Jazz. We're going to agree on quite a bit of these. At least until maybe we get to I'd say about 10. That's where I'm starting to get a little crazy with my top 10. So we'll see. But yeah, Jazz at 14, Portland at 15. let's go to 13 now. Again, 13 and up is going to be weird because I have no idea where you guys are going with this. So, Jack, where you got at 13?
Yeah, we might not have a single match the rest of the list. I have Golden State at 13. Now, again, they've still got one of the best players in the world. He's like 37. So if there's a slight decline, I think that's expected enough. The rest of their roster, I do like the moves they made for a contending team, but unfortunately, they're just really not a contending team. They don't have that secondary star. Jonathan Kuminga, as good of a scorer he is, or he was at least last season, like he's not consistent, and that's what you need to be a contending team. You need that second guy, that third guy to be consistent. They're relying on the likes of Draymond to continue to be a really impactful player on both ends. Buddy Hield to come in and average like 17 points. Like it's kind of unrealistic at this point of their careers. And again, that they could be a team that could be making moves at the deadline, trading those good role players to contending teams for future assets. But unfortunately, I think the Curry era competing for championships in Golden State's probably over unless they trade for LeBron. Go do that. Please do that. Apart from that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not quite at that point yet, having the ability to trade for LeBron. But, yeah, I like that at 13. Dovensky, how about you?
The Warriors were also my 13.
What?
They were literally my 13. Yeah. I don't think Curry, I don't think it's enough. I don't think Curry's going to be able to carry them into even the play-in. But honestly, I still believe there's a possibility that they can make the play-in. But I don't think it's enough because, as you said, Kuminga isn't as consistent. They're relying on Draymond. Andrew Wiggins isn't really consistent either. If Andrew Wiggins was playing like how he did in his second or third season in Minnesota, then I could see them even being a possible play, not even a play team, like a possible playoff team. But Wiggins hasn't been that good offensively ever since he got that contract extension in Minnesota. And we know he's been dealing with family issues. He's been dealing with personal issues. So that does get into your head and all. But I think if the Warriors want to make a big move in the regular season, they have to. Kuminga and Wiggins, they definitely do have to step up because Draymond, offensively, he's not there anymore unless you want playmaking. That's really it. But scoring the basketball, Kuminga and Wiggins, they definitely have to step up this season.
Yeah, definitely. So here's where we're going to start disagreeing. I have Houston at my 13. I know that they went out and they added Reed Shepard in the draft. Great third overall pick. You get a 3-and-D guy, good guard that's going to add a bit more depth to you. But this is already a guard heavy team, so they're going to have to try to find a role for him. He's not taking Jalen Green's spot, and there's plenty of other guards on this team that are honestly better or in a better spot than he is. We don't know what we're going to get from Jabari Smith quite yet. He's definitely progressing and getting better. But I could see this being another year. I definitely think they're a play-in worthy team. They're going to win more games because they're going to have it figured out a little bit more, but not necessarily to the point where it just makes them super exciting. So I have them at 13 right now. And my mind could change. It could not. They could get worse. Who knows? Jack, let's move into number 12 now, starting to slowly inch toward this top 10 for the Western Conference. But where are you sitting at with number 12?
Number 12 is another team that's dropping drastically in the standings for me. They were the 4 seed, I believe, last year. The Clippers. Clippers lost Paul George. They obviously still have Kawhi. They still have James Harden. Man, I don't know what it is. Kawhi could average 30 and they'll still be the 4 seed. Or Kawhi could play 25 games and they'll be the 14 seed. So I've put them at 12 because, again, James Harden's getting a year older, Kawhi's getting a year older. And I really, their offseason was kind of atrocious, to be honest. They brought in Derek Jones Jr., they brought in Kevin Porter Jr., guys who are who are cool, but you lost Paul George, and now you're relying on a 36-year-old. I don't know, James Harden, I think it is, to still be that guy. And we're seeing the last year or two that he's kind of fallen off in that regard a little bit. Still a good quality player, but not a second best player on a contending team. So a little bit low maybe for the Clippers. They might end up being a solid team still, but I just want to spice it up a bit, to be honest. So that's myself.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing wrong with spicing it up. Hey, sometimes you got to piss the people off to get what you want, man.
Sure.
But Dovensky, how about you? Where are you sitting at number 12?
Just before we started, while I was making the list, I was thinking about where I wanted to put the Clippers. And at first, I was thinking about putting them around playing territory, but thinking about just like even what you said, but thinking about just the fact that Harden is washed and you lost Paul George, and now you're going to rely on a Kawhi Leonard, and you're going to rely on Kawhi Leonard, who's not even healthy. So honestly, I don't even think they're going to do good. So they're literally my 12th seed, bro. They're at number 12, because I was thinking about it, and their offseason was super silent. You lost your secondary star. Your superstar is always unreliable. Your third star, he's going to leave. Harden is going to leave. We already know the antics that he does when he's not in a championship position. So he's going to leave definitely. So the Clippers, it's too bad because once they get that high draft pick in the offseason, it's going to OKC.
There you go. Honestly, that's not a bad pick. I mean, yeah, you guys are right. Very quiet, very quiet. They lose guard depth and Russell Westbrook to free agency. I mean, he's now a Denver Nugget, who that team will make an appearance on this list, way higher than the teams we're talking about right now. But yeah, it's interesting because now you got to wonder what kind of role does someone like Norman Powell step into with Paul George leaving? How many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to have to be that main scorer? But yeah, that's a good pick at 12. I actually have Golden State at 12. This is kind of a strange spot. I know I had Houston at 13, but I think Golden State, you guys are right. Maybe just good enough for a plan with the role players that they have, adding Buddy Hield, Jonathan Kuminga progressing, but not quite enough. Not the. I told Jack this Dovensky off air right before we started. If this was 10 years ago, I'd probably have Golden State number one unanimous. It's not even close.
Mostly, yeah.
Exactly. But this is a very different Golden State team. So I have them at 12 for now. Let's move into number 11. Again, inching closer to this top 10 here. We're still a lot closer than I thought we would be because I thought we'd separate pretty drastically by now. But number 11, Jack, where are you at?
Number 11.
Yeah, I thought 13. I thought having the Warriors at 13 was going to be crazy, but apparently not. 11, I have San Antonio. Okay. Obviously, they were the worst team in the West last year. Maybe actually, I think the Blazers won one game worst. But regardless, they were bad last year. They added Chris Paul. They've got Harrison Barnes on the team now. Again, the Wemby's great, and it's going to be fun watching him with Chris Paul. But ultimately, it probably still won't lead to a lot of wins. Looking at it now, I'd probably have the Spurs a little bit lower. Because as good as Wemby is, and as much as I like Devin Vassell, that team is still not ready to compete properly yet. Like the idea of Chris Paul and Wemby is obviously amazing, but Chris Paul's about to be 40. You know, he's not nearly the same player as he was throwing lobs to Blake Griffin. So yeah, the team will be fun for sure, but it's still around that 31 mark, maybe something like that. So I've had them at 11, but looking at it now, I'd probably put them at 12 if the Clippers up one.
But, okay, fair enough. Dovensky, how about you? Where are you at 11?
For my 11, it was a toss-up, but I got Houston at my 11. Just barely missing the play-in. And the reason why I say that is because I do think the Spurs are a bit of a better team, but Houston can definitely steal that playing spot if San Antonio isn't as good as I think that they're going to be. They do have Şengün, who's been improving every single year. I believe that he has the potential to be an All-Star this year. Jalen Green is the great player that we know he could be. Jabari Smith, and let's see what he can do this season. Just casually, just improving. So it's still a rebuild for them, but I think the rebuild is going faster than we expected. Honestly, I didn't expect them to be as good as they were last season, and I think they're just going to be just like probably like a game or two behind of the play-in, if I'm being honest. But they could possibly get into that play-in spot if anything happens.
Yeah, absolutely. At 11, I actually have the Clippers. This is kind of where I put them. I felt comfortable leaving them just outside the top 10, just because you guys hit it right on nail on the head. You don't know what to expect from James Harden, from Kawhi Leonard. Norman Powell is going to have to step into a bigger role. This is going to be an interesting team. You lose Russell Westbrook, like I said. So finding their identity, granted, it's going to help having the two stars that they have. You know, Ivica Zubac's going to continue to be your double-double every night type center for you, but it's just going to be weird. So right outside the top 10, I think is comfortable for me. Definitely worth a play-in spot if they can keep it together and you can get Kawhi Leonard healthy, get James Harden on a good roll. Then I think they're going to be a pretty decent team, at least for a play-in. Now we move into the top 10. I hope we are drastically different here in the top 10, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong so far about where we're going with this. Jack, go ahead. Let's push into the top 10 here for the Western Conference standings.
It's interesting. These both have the Spurs making it. But I think you both said the Rockets already.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have the Rockets at 10. Like what you were saying about Sengun, it's completely true. I think he will be an all-star this year. He's going to be there. Baby Jokic is kind of disrespectful because he's got his own, he's got his own game. Obviously, he's European and he makes, so he's going to be compared to Jokic. But yeah, I love what he brings. Amin Thompson is one of my favorite players in the league. Honestly, just defensively, absolute beast. His finishing has improved over the end of last season. Just praying that he can find wherever he threw his jump shot because he's going to need that eventually. But again, they're another team that has a bunch of young talent and just haven't quite put it together yet. Ime Udoka, as much of a questionable person he is a good coach, and he's had a full season with that team now. So after another off season, I think they definitely have a chance to be a decent contending team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ime Udoka, 100% off the court. Question mark.
That man.
That's a whole nother conversation. Man. Off the court, big question mark. That's on the court,
I've ever seen.
Yeah, on the court. I mean, for a while, it made it look like he was going to be the Celtics' next big time head coach, and then that whole thing crashed and burned.
I still think he deserved to be fired for what he did.
Yeah,
very tough, very very tough situation. But Dovensky, where are you at with number 10, man? I'm curious because
for my number 10, I have San Antonio. I do think they're going to be a playing team this season. Chris Paul, even though he's at a much older age, I doubt there's a possibility that he might start, but I highly doubt that he's going to start. They might have either Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell run the point guard this season. Both of them are really good scorers, actually, really good young scorers. And Chris Paul being in the league since 2005, right? 04 draft, I believe, 2004, 2005-ish, somewhere right there. So he has all that experience. He can give Wemby the experience. You already have Pop, who's been a great voice to Wemby. So you have another great voice a great basketball mind for Wemby. It's going to be even better for him. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm calling it right now. He's going to be DPOY this season. So I do think that they have a chance of making the play-in just because they have Chris Paul. He may not do he may not be as productive on the court as we're used to seeing him, but just being that locker room presence, that veteran presence, I think he's going to do a lot for San Antonio more than we expect him to do. Especially like what he did with Golden State, he didn't really do much with Golden State. In my opinion, honestly, I certainly forgot he was on Golden State from times because like he was just so silent. But I think because of the young talent that's on San Antonio, he's definitely going to be a voice for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Veteran leadership is a big thing, and I mean there was so much talk even around draft night that San Antonio's going to be looking for guard depth because they want to have good guards surrounding Wembanyama, surrounding him with good shooters, and they've added some pretty decent guys. But at number 10, I actually have the New Orleans Pelicans. I have them at 10. I know that is very, very low. And this is where it is a bit surprising. I'm not sold on the Zion Williamson show. I never have been. He's great when he's on the floor. Don't get me wrong. He's not the generational player that they thought he was going to be, and that's health and all things aside. But I still think they're going to be a decent team, and this is one of those spots where I hope I'm wrong. I hope New Orleans is not 10th in the West and in a play-in spot because they have plenty of talent. They went out and got DeJounte Murray in the offseason, so they added a elite defensive guard and an elite scoring guard that's going to help their offense big time. You have Brandon Ingram back. You know, he's fully healthy again off of his injuries. Zion the same. But nonetheless, just a lot of talent there in New Orleans, and they have a chance to make a pretty decent playoff run if they want to do so. They just got to put all the pieces together. So I'm comfortable putting them at 10. I know that's a big surprise, but I'm comfortable putting them right there until I see more that they can take all of their pieces and actually put together a better postseason run or a better push late in the season. All right. We're within the top 10. It's getting serious. Jack, let's move to number 9 here. What you got for me?
I have the Mavericks at 9.
Okay. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. I have absolutely no reasoning for that.
None at all.
Literally, like the Pelicans at 10 was like it is low, but like any of those teams, if you would have put anyone else there, it would have been low. It would have sounded low. Like all of these teams could be a top 4, top 5 seed. So it's so tough. So someone had to go 9, and I put the Mavericks because I even like their off season too. Honestly, it's just I have more confidence in every other team depth wise to win regular season games. The Mavericks are good playoff wise because they have those 2 superstars and they have good quality starters, and you only need to run 3 or 4 off the bench. But obviously, you don't want to do that in the regular season. You don't want to have Luka playing 40 minutes a game. So I could see them slipping down the standings a little bit. Maybe 9's a bit of a extreme, but I could definitely see them being a play-in team.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. That's not necessarily a bad spot just because they're forming that super team. You know, you go out and you get Klay Thompson to add to Kyrie and Luka and company, and it's like, all right, you don't want to invest too much hype in it yet until you see it happen.
Right.
And what that team makes me think of is like when the Lakers went out and added Steve Nash and Dwight Howard to the Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol team, and it was like, that's great. But is it going to work? And it definitely, in no way, shape, or form, worked at all. So I get that pick there. Dovensky, how about you? Number 9 in the West.
Number 9 for me, I have Phoenix at number 9.
Ooh. Okay. Yep. Same thing.
Yeah.
that super team vibe, man. If
Yeah,
it works.
I highly doubt Bradley Beal is gonna be healthy. And even if he is healthy, I doubt he's gonna do good. I doubt he's gonna be even near the All Star caliber player that we know he is. There's no bench depth at all. Devin Booker, I mean, he's Devin Booker. Kevin Durant, he's Kevin Durant. Even though he's at an older age, I still believe Kevin Durant can give you like a good 26, 27 points per game. But besides those three, like, there's nothing. There's no one. There's absolutely no one. You have Devin Booker running the point guard. You have Beal running the shooting guard. KD is most likely gonna run power forward or maybe small forward for a bit because Grayson didn't he in the play? I know he got injured in the playoffs, but I forgot what injury it was. So he Allen might be at the small forward, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna work out because nowadays, like the super team era in the NBA is over. Like, there's no room for super teams anymore. It's unless you build it yourself from draft picks. Besides that, trying to get a bunch of stars together, it's not working anymore.
Mm, okay. Hot
Except
take. A little bit. Not much. It kind of fits right in with the Mavericks
yeah,
because it's the same. I mean, you have superstars, but we saw last year if one's not healthy, it forces the hand of the others, and it just doesn't work anymore. It
Yeah.
really doesn't. It's pretty crazy. At 9, I actually have the Spurs. This is where I put San Antonio. I actually really like their team. They went out and added Harrison Barnes in the offseason. Good veteran forward depth that's going to help out their team. But at the same time, this young core, this is not going. It's not going to be a fantastic year by any means. I'm not saying they're going to win the West. I'm not saying they're going to win a title. But if you're going to be excited about them in any way, they sure as hell can do a lot better than they did last year. I mean, you're bottom of the league, had one of the worst records. The only way is up. I mean, you finished bottom of the West, so
right.
anything better than 15 is at least an improvement. So they went out and they had a very good draft. They got Stephon Castle out of UConn. That is one hell of a draft pick. That is good guard depth. He's going to learn behind one of the best guards of this generation, in Chris Paul. I mean, what more can he ask for to build your team up? Devin Vassell, like you said, another guy continuing to just progress and get better. So I felt comfortable putting San Antonio at 9. Again, I still think about 500, I think, is where they could sit, but definitely a play-in team for me, at least at 9. All right, number 8, Jack, hit me.
Number 8, right?
Yes, number 8.
Number 8 is Memphis.
Ooh.
Memphis, I love Ja Morant, so that is why I put them above the Mavericks. This team, when they were fully last time they were all healthy, they were the 2 seed, and now they lost in the first round. But that core is still all there. They're all a bit older. Desmond Bain, I don't know why, but everyone has been talking about Desmond Bain this whole season. How he's just going to be great this year. So sure, I'll go with that. So we got Desmond Bain being great. We got Ja Morant. It's going to be Ja Morant. Jaren Jackson's a defensive player of the year. Fraud, might I add. But, he's a good defender. He can stretch the floor. Obviously, he just brought in Zach Edey. If he's, I don't know how many minutes Zach Edey's going to play, but he could potentially be very, good for them. And then they've still got a good bench. They've still got good wings. Gigi Jackson, who unfortunately is going to miss a while with that injury, but Vince Williams Jr., Brandon Clark's on your bench still. Santi Aldama, a bunch of good wings that can play quality minutes. So yeah, I can again. 8 seed's not very high, but again, it's just stacks, man. They 10 to 4 could be anyone. So I put the Grizzlies at 8. Yeah.
Okay. Dovensky, how about you, man?
All right, so for my 8th seed, I have Sacramento.
Ooh,
Like I said,
ooh. Jack don't like that one.
yeah, De'Aaron Fox,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he's one of my favorite players. Definitely is.
Yeah.
And DeRozan, the thing is, like, he's up there in age. He still struggles with the 3-point shot, even though he's gotten better. But besides that, you have Malik Monk. He's still on the team, right? I believe so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Malik Monk, great scorer as well. But I don't think they really have like that star power to like escape the play-in. I feel like they have enough to possibly get out, but I don't think they really like have it to get out of the play-in. If you get it, like De'Aaron Fox, yeah, great point guard, all-star caliber point guard in my opinion. But DeRozan as your secondary star, a much older DeRozan might I add, who still struggles to space the floor as well. Again, as I said, in the 3-point shooting league, it's gonna be like just confusing to see how it's gonna go.
Okay. I think Jack's bubbling a little bit. Can see the little bit of steam coming out of the ears there. But at number 8, I also had Memphis. I think that's a solid spot to kind of sit them. Um, they finished second in the West last year, which is great. Considering John Morant missed a lot of time last year. So the fact that or was that the year before? Was that the year
It was the
before
year
where Ja
before.
It
missed a
was
lot of
yeah.
time?
I
Yeah, it was
mean,
before.
they were the 2 seed when Ja was healthy.
That's right.
So
That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I was thinking the year before. Got my years mixed up. But they had a really good season in the West. They just, again, it was a juggernaut to try to win the West in the playoffs last year. And it just didn't go their way. But I think eight's a comfortable spot, kind of a prove it spot for me to go from just above top 10 and try to push their way up. And again, a lot of these teams in this top 10, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I think they have plenty of talent. So Memphis at 8 for me. All right, number 7, Jack, go ahead.
7-0 Phoenix. I actually loved their offseason. I think they had one of the best off seasons. Just like strictly, they brought in Tyus Jones, who is such a underrated player. His ball security is top tier. His assist to turnover ratio is always the best in the league, or maybe second best. But like since he's been in the league, it's been at the top every year, and that's what Phoenix was missing last year, a real point guard. So Devin Booker doesn't have to play point guard. He can just catch and shoot, come off the screen, and just get to a shot. Be a shot creator, not a shot playmaker. Bradley Beal is still a question mark. Obviously, getting paid like the 6th biggest contract in the league right now, which is it's obviously an overpay, but he is a good player when he's healthy. So hopefully they can gel a bit more. Mike Budenholzer is their coach now too, which I really like. So I think there's a chance they gel together. But still, I have them at the 7th seed, which I think they were the 6th seed last year. So technically, I think they're getting worse. But I do actually like their roster a bit more this year. It's just every other team I think will be just a little bit better.
All right, Davidsky, how about you, man? Who you got at number 7?
My number 7, I have the Pelicans at 7.
Okay.
And I got them at 7 mainly because of Zion and seeing what he did in that play-in game before he got injured against the Lakers, and seeing that was the Zion that we've been expecting. That's the Zion that was being hyped going into college, coming into the draft, like that just superstar player Zion. And I believe if he stays healthy, he always has like some of the best field goal percentages in the paint and in the league. But I feel like if he really stays healthy this season, he has the potential to really carry the Pelicans into the playoffs. Not even just the play-in, but into the playoffs in general. DeJounte Murray coming in, that's another great defender, backcourt defender to pair up with Jose Alvarado. That's going to be a nightmare for any guards in the league. Brandon Ingram, we don't really know what he's going to be doing contract-wise, but I still think he's going to have a decent year. So I think this season is going to be a pretty good season for the Pelicans. Only thing is we just got to check on Zion's health. That's really it.
Yep, for sure. I think what kind of swayed me away from them was them losing Jonas Valanciunas. That's a big piece, and people
Yeah.
got to realize that is a huge piece of that team. So he's gone. So we'll see how they kind of make up for that loss, at least down low in the paint. But they do have good pieces. Number 7, I actually have the Los Angeles Lakers here at 7. I think put them about halfway through. Again, they didn't do anything absolutely insane in the offseason. Nothing to turn a giant needle to say, all right, LeBron has the team he needs to go on another championship run. And that's fine. But you have a healthy LeBron, you have a healthy Anthony Davis and company. Why couldn't you at least finish middle of the pack and at least make the full blown playoffs and avoid the play in? But I think still sitting about 7, I think is a good spot for them. I'm not comfortable putting them any higher. I'm not comfortable putting them any lower just until, we see if LeBron can put it together with this roster. All right, Jack, we're pushing towards the top 5 here. Number 6, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Lakers at 6. Same thing you said. When you've got 2 top 10 players in basketball, it's hard to see them drop too much. So I think again, bit of a middle of the pack team. Again, 8-7-6 is kind of their realm. Yeah, it's not much to say about the Lakers, man. They have the same team as last year. So.
Yep, for sure. Dovensky, how about you, man?
My number 6, I have the Grizzlies at number 6.
Okay.
And I mean, last season, even though Ja wasn't there, when he did come back from his suspension, he played so great. Like, even though he missed 25 games, he's already eliminated from any awards. We still have people saying, "Oh, he deserves to be in MVP talks." Like, that's just how good Ja Morant is. Like, even though his off the court issues really pissed me off, he's still a top tier point guard. Definitely, he could be a top 3 point guard in the league. Like he has the skill set to be a top 3 point guard in the league. So we just have to see what's going on. Desmond Bain, he had a pretty good season being the number 1 scoring option. As you said, we have well, I said they have Jaren Jackson Jr. to spread the floor. So I think this is gonna be a pretty good season. Not a great season as they had when they were the 2nd seed, but I think this is gonna be a little bounce back season. And this is gonna be like a season Ja Morant comes to prove that his off the court issues, they shouldn't be affecting him on the court, and like he's a changed guy. Although he did tear his labrum, so I do think he might slow down a little bit in the beginning of the season. But coming by middle of the season, we should see like the old John Morant return.
Okay, for sure. That's a great spot for them. If they could put it together, I see no reason why they aren't a decent team in the West. At 6, this is where I had Phoenix actually. I think they're 45-37 last year is not where they want to be sitting. They want to be 20 games above 500. They want to be that team. And they still had to kind of work out some kinks. People weren't healthy. But yeah, depth is going to be the issue. If they can figure out their depth, sure. Why couldn't they put it together? You put a lot of money into Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. Why couldn't you put it together? They just got to do it. So I got Phoenix at 6. All right, gentlemen. Time for the top 5 here of the Western Conference, the Wild Wild West. Number 5, Jack, who you got?
You got the Kings at 5. Maybe a homer pick, but they had a good off season. The DeMar coming in. Honestly, I know you're saying as a 2, but like we still have Sabonis. Realistically, he was our offensive hub.
Getting the bonus. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I mean, and Sabonis was our offensive hub for the majority of last season. It was a lot of De'Aaron Fox playing off of him, and DeMar will do that too. He's a guy that can, while he can't spread the floor as much as a shooter, De'Aaron Fox isn't a great 3-point shooter either, and he thrives with Sabonis, and I see no reason why DeMar wouldn't as well. And then we've got your shooters, your Malik Monks, your Keegan Murrays, Keon Ellis. So and we have a deep team, which is kind of what puts the Kings above a team like the Lakers or Phoenix. for me at least. So yeah, put them at 5.
Okay, very cool. Dovensky, number 5 for
Uh,
you in the West.
my fifth seed. I don't care how controversial this sounds, but I got the Lakers at number 5.
Mm.
Yes, LeBron is turning 40, but we see what he did last year. And and it's not mainly even because of LeBron. I think this is going to be Anthony Davis's year. I feel like LeBron is really going to take like a true step back this season, and then Anthony Davis, because we saw how great he was last season when he's healthy, and I think we might get visions of that prime New Orleans Pelicans Anthony Davis. I believe like he's able to average 30 points, possibly maybe 13, 14 rebounds a game, and just be a massive defensive presence for the Lakers. I think this is going to be the year that Anthony Davis finally takes like the front wheel. He takes the driver's seat for the Lakers, and I think that's going to be a huge step for the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell, I hope he does good in the regular season at least. Austin Reeves, that contract, you better continue playing up to that contract because they paid you some good money. But really, Anthony Davis and LeBron, you got top 10 players in the league on the same team. So there's no reason why they shouldn't be top 5. But I'm just looking at LeBron's health. I'm looking at Anthony Davis's health mainly because, I mean, that's the engine to your team. So honestly, if one of them go down, I hope not. But if one of them do go down, then it's going to be pretty bad. But as long as they both stay healthy, Anthony Davis continues to play like how he played last season and continues to elevate his game from last season, then I can see them making it into the playoffs without needing a play-in spot. Maybe even having a deep playoff run, possibly. But we just have to see when the season starts and as the season goes on.
Yeah, for sure. I tell you, the Laker I'm most excited to watch, and hopefully he gets a little bit more of a chance, is Dalton Connect. I thought LA got an absolute robbery draft pick steal there in getting Dalton Connect as late as they did. So that I'm excited for that. And number 5 for me, this is where I have the OKC Thunder. I know and I understand that Alex Caruso is there now, and they've got a solid core. SGA is an MVP caliber player. Chet Holmgren's continuing to improve and become one of the best big men in the league. Young big men entering his, I guess, his sophomore year would be the correct term there for him. But they've got a solid team. They do. They have plenty of draft capital. They're doing it all the right way. I want to stick them at 5 because even with all of that, without Caruso, they still finished under 500 last year. They were 40-42, and now they did make a good run, and they were able to look good in playoffs. But outside of that, I'm only comfortable sticking them at 5 because I need to have them prove it for me. And I think 5 is where I'm comfortable sticking them, at least for now. I hope I'm wrong. They've got a good team. Number 4, Jack, who you got?
I think you might have like the 2022-23 standings, like, because I'm pretty sure I guess he was the last pick
Yeah,
last year.
you know what? Good Lord.
Yeah,
Don't
OKC
listen
finished
to me,
number
bro.
1 last season.
I was like 40 and 42.
I
God, that,
heard
Let
42
me
too.
yeah, my bad. I forgot to change the tab thing. Give me one sec and I'll fact check myself here. Yeah, what am I talking about? 57 and 25. Click the tab, Nolan. But again, yeah, I'm still feeling comfortable with them at 5 just because I want to see them recreate it and not be a one-hit wonder from last year. Recreate it for me and prove me wrong at 5. My bad. OKC Thunder fans, don't come for me if you're watching. My bad, bro. Who you got it for, Jack?
4, I have Minnesota. Yeah, they have a good team. There's not much to say about Minnesota. They're kind of running it back as well.
Yep.
I like all their pieces. Rudy Gobert is probably going to be a little bit worse. He's a bit older, and no one likes him. So
yeah, Shaquille O'Neal definitely doesn't like him. Not even one bit.
Honestly, Shaq, man, you need help. But yeah, Minnesota at 4.
Okay, Dovensky, how about you? Who you got it for?
For number 4, I got the Mavericks at number 4.
Okay.
And they're coming off of a NBA Finals appearance. And I think this is going to be Luka's year where he goes off to try and finally get the MVP. Kyrie, Kyrie last year was Kyrie's redemption year, and I think he's gonna continue to go off of that redemption, and he's gonna continue to play great. I just hope he can play good in Boston again. I really hope that. Klay Thompson, I don't think Klay Thompson is gonna make that much noise, but I do think he's gonna bounce back from last season because maybe he did need a change of scenery. Maybe it's just that's what he really needs. Derek Lively, great young center in the league. Great because I believe it was like 2 seasons ago when the Mavs didn't make the playoffs. They were one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and now they have Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively to grab the boards, and they're both of them are really great on the boards. So I do believe that the Mavericks are going to make some noise once again. Do I think a finals appearance is going to happen again? Possibly, but I think I'm gonna keep them at 4 for now to see how they go on throughout the season.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good solid spot for them. I love what PJ Washington is starting to become with them because, I mean, he was solid in Charlotte. He really was. He was flourishing and he was good, but it was time for him to find that next home. And Dallas has been a perfect spot for him. They're really allowing him to expand his game. Now, granted, that helps when you have someone like Luka Doncic running your offense and Kyrie Irving right next to him because that allows you to kind of play a bit more of your role where he doesn't necessarily have to be the primary ball handler in any situation. He doesn't have to be the primary shooter. He can just be that supportive role player. And I think that's a good spot for him. But he can also go drop 20 on your head every night. So that's a good spot for him. But yeah, that's a good spot. Sacramento is 4 for me. DeMar DeRozan in Sacramento was one of the best offseason moves I've seen. They had a good team. 10 games above 500, I think, was not where they wanted to be. They have a better team now, and they're just going to have to put the pieces together. And I'm comfortable putting them at 4, though. I think they can do it, and they've got a young core to be able to make a serious and legitimate run, I think, in the West and at least disrupt some stuff because they're doing things in a different way. They're not building a super team. They're drafting the right talent. And then they add a superstar later after you developed your talent that you drafted. It's the right way. I love what they're doing. So number 3, the big top 3. We only have we got about 7 minutes left on the show here, so we'll fire through them as quickly as we can. If we go a little over, it's okay. But let's get into it. Top 3 of the Western Conference. The top 3 is usually the best of the best, some of the best you're going to see in the entire league. So let's get into it. Jack, number 3, who you got?
I have the Denver Nuggets at number 3. Again, I think they were the 2 seed last year, like tied for the 1 seed, whatever it was. Again, they've got a very similar team. Obviously, the big thing is they lost KCP, replaced him with Russell Westbrook. And I've been very vocal about that. I think Russ will be a better fit on Denver than a lot of people think right now. His cutting that we saw with LA last season off the ball is going to be utilized greatly by someone like Jokic. So that's what Aaron Gordon does. That's how he scores all his points. So I'm sure Russell Westbrook can do the same thing, even though he's probably only going to play realistically 20 minutes a game. But then, when Jokic is off the floor, Russell Westbrook can be that facilitator, and Jamal Murray could keep playing off ball where he thrives. So I think that'll be a good fit. Obviously, KCP is a big loss, just that shooting, that defense that Russell Westbrook doesn't provide. But I think, again, there'll still be a top 3 team at least 50 plus wins.
Okay. Dovensky, how about you, man? Top 3.
I also have the Nuggets at number 3.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, he already summed it up. I think Westbrook is gonna do good. Maybe 6th man of the year, possibly. Who knows? But Jokic is gonna be Jokic. We're gonna see Jamal Murray hopefully play good against other teams besides the Lakers.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon, he's gonna be that catch and shoot guy. He's gonna be that cutter as well. So honestly, there's not really much to say. Jack already summed it up for me. So I think Denver can they go back to the NBA Finals? Maybe. I do think they have the possibility of going back to the finals, but we just have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. At three, this is where I have Minnesota, and my top three is kind of very fluid. Yeah, I mean, you can drop and pick anybody that you want here, but I have them at three, just because, like Jack said, they're running it back. They don't lose a lot of pieces. There's no reason this team shouldn't be a threat. And coming into last season, they had talked about how, all right, Minnesota keeping a lot of guys. Can they do a big run? And they did it, and they look great doing so. So I don't see why they shouldn't be a top three team in this league, if not higher, at one or two by season's end. So number two, Jack, who you got?
Now I'm sure that you guys forgot that I haven't said this team already. This team destroyed the Kings every time we played them last season, and then they killed us in the play-in just one more time for fun. We played them 6 times last season, and we lost by an average of like 22 points every game. The Pelicans. Now, obviously, you guys had them a lot lower. I am a firm believer in Zion, and what I hate most right about the Pelicans is the amount of disrespect that Brandon Ingram has been getting this past summer. People talking about he's a negative trade asset. We're forgetting about Brandon Ingram. Clearly, we're forgetting about All-Star Brandon Ingram. That man is a bucket. And now I got DeJounte Murray and Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado and Trey Murphy. They got defenders on that team. Now, as you said, Valanciunas is a big loss because they don't have that big body center. Not that Valanciunas was a great defender, but they could really use a solid rim protector down low. Maybe a guy that can stretch the floor. You're kind of asking for a lot with that. There's not many elite rim protectors that can shoot, but getting someone like that would really elevate them. But I have a lot of belief in them to be a great regular season team. Playoffs is another thing for sure, but yeah, that's all I gotta say.
All right, New Orleans at two for Jack. Love it. Dovensky, how about you, man?
My number two, I have Minnesota at my number two, and I think this is gonna be Anthony Edwards' revenge season after what happened in the playoffs. So I believe this is gonna be his revenge tour. I believe Karl Anthony Towns might elevate his game. Rudy Gobert is gonna be Rudy Gobert. But there's not really much to say about the Timberwolves because they just run it back. So honestly, I think they're just gonna be a little better than how they were last season because now, like you like I honestly wasn't expecting them to be that good last season, but now like we're all expecting them to be a top three team in the Western Conference, and I think like they're up to it. I believe like as I said, Anthony Edwards, he's gonna be on his revenge tour. I believe I could see him averaging nearly 30 points per game, maybe even 30, 31 points per game, being the trash talker, being the highly confident guy that he is. Is he going to walk away with MVP? I doubt it, but I do think like he can have a legit MVP caliber season this year. So it's only time will tell to see what happens with Minnesota.
Yep, absolutely. I know Minnesota definitely would like better 3-point shooting out of Karl Anthony Towns. He's been regarded as one of the best 3-point shooting bigs anyway, and then he was throwing up
He was
clankers in the
atrocious in
playoffs.
the playoffs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was throwing up bricks. He could build several houses in a neighborhood with how much he was missing. So it was pretty bad, but nonetheless, yeah, that's a good spot. Number two for me, this is where I have Dallas actually. I love this team and I love this build that they're putting together. We've talked about the role players that they've got already. Uh, I, I see no reason why Klay Thompson can't slide right into this team and flourish. Be the spot up shooter. Be the 3 and D guy that everybody knows you can be. You don't have to score 25 to 30 every night. It's not you and Steph Curry anymore. You don't have to do that. That's what Luka's there for, and that's what Kyrie can still do for you. Oh, and by the way, we just talked about him. PJ Washington can still do it for you. Derek Lively can put up points for you. They have the pieces to put together another NBA Finals run, and Klay Thompson just adds on to that. But again, we talked about this earlier. The only thing that scares me about it is that super team negativity, because we've seen the super teams form before, and we've seen the super teams fall very dramatically. So only time will tell if it'll work for them. But if it does, I think Dallas is going to be a scary team. I think they're going to be really, really good. And they're going to be tough to beat because they got a lot of ways to beat you. All right. It's time for the final one. The tippity top of the mountain, the top dog in the Western Conference. Maybe we're all three right. Maybe we're all three wrong. Who knows? Jack, kick it off for us, and then we'll close out the show. Number one in the West for you.
OKC. OKC, the best team in the West, probably the best team in the league, regular season wise. They added Alex Caruso, like I said, and they added Isaiah Hartenstein, which is an awesome pickup. And it's kind of a shame that no one else got him, because OKC is one of the teams that don't really need a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein. So it's just like, it's not a waste, because he's going to be great on that team. He's going to make them better. I don't know what they're going to do with their lineup. I don't know if they're going to have Hartenstein off the bench for $30 million a year, or they're going to start him with Chit, which is crazy to even think about. So, I mean, either way they go, I'm sure they'll mix it up a lot during the season, but they were the 1 seed last year, and they will be the 1 seed again.
Yeah. Not 40 and 42 like I tried to convince everybody of. My God. I think a scary lineup for OKC, just to throw a starting five out there for them. SGA at the 1, Caruso at the 2, Jalen Williams, move him up from the 4 spot to the 3, Chet at 4, Hardenstein at 5. That's cheesy, man. I'll run that on 2K.
That is such a 2K.
That would not be fair.
I will run that on 2K any day of the week, and I might not lose. It'd be crazy, man. But all right, Dovensky, number one for you, man, in the Western Conference.
My number one is also OKC. Getting.
So I just sound absolutely like a lunatic here.
Yeah, getting Caruso was a huge move, and getting Hartenstein was also a huge move. Seeing how Hartenstein just pumps up the team coming off the bench. He's a great interior defender. He's a great interior scorer, great rebounder as well. So that is he going to come off the bench? Is he going to start? I don't know I doubt he's going to start. They might have Dort start at the small forward and have J-Dub at the 4, but that lineup that you made up, that would be disgusting. And I can see them, like, if they do that lineup, they could probably be the best defense in the league, as well as being like a top 3 offense in the league as well. And I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I think they can make it all the way to the finals this season. I can see them being a 61 team, being the best team in the league. So they have a lot of potential this season, especially being that number 1 seed, and all of these allegations of them being the worst number 1 seed because they got eliminated in the second round, but nobody expecting them to be number 1. And now we're expecting them to be number 1, at least number 2 in the West this season. So I do think that OKC, they're up there. They're definitely going to make it.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, I look like a lunatic because I don't know how to change the goddamn standings tab. And you two guys got them at your 1 seed, and I got them sitting at 5. Man, Luguentz Dort is also a guy that you can interchange. And he's just sitting there at your freedom. You can use him whenever you want. That's crazy, man. I might be changing my list here very soon. I feel wrong. I feel like I've done something wrong here, man. But number 1 for me, I'm playing a bit of favoritism. If you can't tell, Denver Nuggets at 1 for me. They retain a lot of their pieces. Losing KCP, like Jack said, absolutely big loss. Really is. 3-and-D guy, was scoring 15 a night for you, but was a good defensive presence. They were talking about him for a Defensive Player of the Year sleeper pick for most of the season, just because he was that impactful in every way for Denver. But nonetheless, I think Russ is going to have a big time year, being able to flourish in a system that allows him to be a little more loose. And at the same time, I'm excited for what Christian Brown is going to do for Denver. At KU, he was a great 3-point shooter. In the NBA, he hasn't needed to be that. Well, you just had a couple years behind KCP. Why couldn't you take that step and be what KCP was? He'd be a good on-ball defender, good perimeter guy, but also be the good shooter and be that presence that Denver's going to need at the 2 guard. And then Julian Strother is another name that they could also slide in at the 2 guard. So plenty of depth there. They just got to put it together. I see no reason why Denver can at least, at minimum, be top 3 in the NBA or top 3 in the West at least. So that'll do it for us here on the Putback. Western Conference standings are in the books. Eastern Conference standings are in the books. Lots more to go on this show. Lots more basketball to talk about. The season is inching ever so closer. We're getting there, gentlemen. And also, we might be talking some college basketball the closer we get, as that begins here rather sooner than later. But until then, thank you for joining the show. And as always, go check out everything we got going on over at stadiumrant.com. It's at the banner scrolling along the bottom side of the screen here. And let's plug away real quick. Jack, where can the people find you and plug away?
You see the name on the screen, man. It's the Instagram right there. Yeah, that's all I need, man.
It's on the screen. Read it. Yep. Do it yourself. Dovensky, how about you, man? Where can we find you?
Bottom of the screen, I got my personal Instagram. I have my And One Podcast Instagram under there. I got to grind on that And One Podcast once again, though. I've been slacking for a while ever since the season ended.
All right, man. Well, hey, go hype it up. Everybody go check out what these guys got going on. Go check out everything over at Stadium Rant. You can find me at @NOL_BOL on social media. And man, oh man, are we excited for some more basketball. Hopefully some more interviews and fun guests and everything on the way. This is the tough part of the season where you got to find those topics to talk about, to try and just get you and help you survive until you can start talking about games. But until then, thank you for sticking with us. Check out everything on stadiumrant.com. And as always, keep it rocking and rolling over here on the Putback. See you next week, folks.